of my capacity to afford. Because it would have been stupid, I would have been stupid if my salary was 100,000 a month and my startup capital I was hunting for to fundraise for was 3 million. I would never ever get started in the business.
So, do you think it is impossible?
It is possible, but it would maybe take me 30 years to do that, or 15 years. Now, what I'm trying to explain is this. That if your income, let's say, is 1 million, right? Probably saving 3 million can be possible in a year, if you are good at that. You know so? But if your income is 200,000, and it's the same money you use on to survive, maybe you can only save 50,000 per month. For you to save 3 million, it will take about 7, 8 years trying to save only. And you realize that you are taking 1, 10, 5 years without even getting started. It simply means that when you look at what you've set and your current capacity, and then you draw up a plan of savings of maybe a month or 6 months or a year or 2, and you say that in these 1 or 2 years I'm going to raise, let's say, 10 million according to your capacity, and I start up, let's say, your business idea. If it is maybe you calculate like maybe to go into chicken business or farming, I would need like 10 million to buy maybe 2 acres of land and then hose and this. So so self-fundraising can also be the best way you can bootstrap.
Okay.
And now that thing, and you know, fundraising money is very hard, honestly. you know, something about cash is simple. is this?
What are some of the challenges you encountered when you were fundraising?
You know, money is very tempting. You know, first of all, it is tempting you, the owner of the money. Because it comes to a point whereby the money you have in the pool is larger than the money you've ever had at one point in life. For example, if my salary was 100,000 then, reaching 200,000 was way beyond I was feeling, it was too good. It was tempting to me to use it for anything else. And 2, it's also tempting the people who know that you are saving it. They want to borrow it, you know. you know, there's nothing as discouraging, of course, like someone coming and kneeling down and you borrow them your savings. And you see it happen. You see, when let's say you have a goal of saving, let's say, let me say you want maybe start up like say, a bakery, you know, and you wanted, let's say, 2 million. As you are saving, after all, your income could have been even just 400,000, but you are saving for 2 million. As you reach some good mark of 1.6 million, your dad or your auntie, the person who brought you up, comes along with an interesting idea or a challenge or anything, promising that they are going to pay back very soon.
What do you think you would do?
Yes. Now this is the reality.
Yeah.
Because fundraising money is that challenging. There is nothing that beats you being strict on your own, on yourself. You see, one of the best ways of fundraising I can talk about self-fundraising. This is the best way to self-fundraise. And this one I've done it before. Every coin you save, don't keep it in cash. What do? You get that very money you've saved and turn it into a capital good. For example, the lady wants to start up, let's say, the bakery shop we've been using as an example. And she knows she has to buy an oven of, let's say, for 600,000. There's no reason why she raises 600,000 and she keeps it in cash. She just buys the oven and keeps it in kind. So that by the time the auntie calls you for a loan, you also don't have money, you are broke. You have your capital goods. And you see,
may get tempted to cash it over.
When I was getting into the business, when I was dealing with farmers, having to deal with farmers and giving them solutions on how they can overcome drought, I realized that I needed to be getting some goods, some products that I would use, and I would import them from South Africa. Now, every little capital, when I drew up the plan, I realized that whenever I could raise, every 200,000 I could buy a piece. The moment I fundraise the 200,000, it never sleeps with me in the house. It goes on the capital good. Why? Because at the end of the day, when they say, hey, but you know, you it seems you have money, but you see, it isn't this goods, right? And now, and so I only have one option to get the very goods I have put on the side, right? I cash them now by doing business with them, so I have no option. So people who are not going to fail with that strategy, the advice again I can give them is that one. It will never fail you. For every money that comes along and you've saved it for some time, what you do is very simple. Go and don't keep in cash and keep it in kind. And keep it in a capital good. Because when you have the capital goods, if your business is to sell suits, simple. If you bought now that 20 suits are there and you are waiting how you are going to be selling them off, it is different from having the 1 million with you here. When your mother will fall sick or someone, your aunt will fall sick, and then before you know it, you are using you are actually eating the seeds of your dream by solving another person's challenges.
Yeah, but let's not try to look at it in a way that you're trying to run away from responsibility. Say perhaps when my mom is sick, when my mother is sick. So how do you expect me to really not cash it over?
Now, the hassle you go through cashing it can also give you, you know, when you have no money, I have realized when you have no money right now, and you come up with an idea that needs money, you will create other options and plan B than if you had the cash here. You see, if I come to you now and I say, can you help me with 500,000, sir? And you have $1 million on you. You will begin to calculate on how you are going to dig into your pocket to or not to give me the 500 I want. So, but if you only had 20 and you want me to get 500 from you, trust me, you are going to create a plan B and plan C of solving my challenge. And in most cases, if that's the way you are fundraising kind, that's always a better option. So it's an option that can never fail you if you have a goal. You kick off, and then.
So you said there are four options that you have.
Yes, we've talked about the first one of selling off what you can have. We talked about borrowing.
One of your properties.
Exactly.
And then we talked about borrowing.
Now, yes, and then fundraising.
Fundraising.
Exactly.
Now, what is the last one?
Now, the last one is the hardest of the three. Of all the three mentioned, the last one is the hardest. It is I could call it. It's a head-on collision with success.
Okay.
You badly want success, and you go for the last option, and have none of the three options. They may not be very valuable. You can, because the last option, you have nothing to sell. No one can borrow you, because at one point I had reached a borrowing limit. Nobody could borrow me.
Because you had borrowed already.
Exactly.
From all of them.
And then I came to a point of self-fundraising would take me a long time, and I could not afford to get into, because I didn't even have an income. So what did I do? I went for the last option, which is I would sell something, then I go buy it. Instead of in a traditional doing business whereby you buy something first and then you go sell it. This is what I could do.
Wait a minute. You would go
and sell before buying what I was going to sell. And now this is how it would work.
Yes.
I realized that I had seen an equipment, an input that could be very good for farmers. And I had known that if a farmer uses this equipment, regardless of the weather changes, the weather rain comes once in a month or whatever, a farmer could afford to use this equipment and overcome drought, and even have double results from their farm. What did I do? I knew the price, I knew how it works, and the only thing I went and I gathered the pictures and the catalogs and the written information about the equipment. I made an appointment to meet a group of farmers. I will teach farmers about what it is. Of course, they would demand to have it, but I did not have it. And guess what I would do? I would ask them to choose one person among them, put the money together, right? When they put the money together, through the other person now who has the money, I make sure the farmers access the equipment, and then they use it, and I will take my profit. Now, that was a hard way of doing business. Why it is very hard? Let me tell you my experience.
I think that requires quite some level of skill.
Exactly. For every 10 people I could talk to, at least 4 or 5 would be willing to buy. But out of the 5 who are willing to buy, only one ends up buying. Because most people are okay to buy a product if it is available.
Yes.
I mean, nobody is going to get their cash, give it to you, and then you go bring them a product. And in most cases, they would say, okay, I would go get the product, bring it, maybe by talking to the seller, and I bring it, then I cash in, I give me the cash, then I make my profit, and I would be like what you would call maybe a middleman. Eh? Now, in the process, I was using the profit I was making to now begin the self-fundraising process of raising capital. And I was doing the self-fundraising while trying to survive on the money I was earning through that, and while raising fundraising capital so that I can buy, I can also invest into the system, you know. And you see, that system never fails you for no reason. By the time you get one customer, you become more intelligent here because you need the most skills. You know, it is very easy to sell the product you have. Here is the product. It is so good. Or someone who can say, hey, I even know this product. They go and take it and buy it instantly. But when it is the other way around, you introduce the product and you are only showing the papers. You see, this product is very good. You really need all the you realize that you develop very interesting skills of negotiation.
Yes.
And the reason why I recommend that system is one, it will always be available. You can never come to a point. For example, if I want to use that system, today I'm not in the business of selling cars or aeroplanes or whatever, or maybe let me say water equipment. So if I wanted to begin selling cars currently and I don't have capital for the cars as we've discussed, that system can't fail. It is also available for me now. Every you are there, every idea you have, it is the option of go look down for someone who will buy, then come and access the product and get delivered. Will always be very available. And by that, you become a good, smart businessman upstairs.
Okay.
Because you really think of how you can really be much trusted and with integrity. So many things you get on to develop. Eh? You develop a couple of skills within that. And that is why, going back to as we discussed bootstrapping, as we said, and I want to repeat what I started with, it's not easy. it is not, but it is the best. The reason why bootstrapping is very easy, you know, when you have limited resources in the start, your level of smartness and wanting to be better will always be at a height. For first of all, you have no resources with you, you can count on. You even have no strings that touch you behind.
So
and
it
secondly,
your mind to work out.
Yes, your mind works out for you.
Possible ways.
And if you don't succeed, you almost have no plan B because you pour the little and everything you have into something. Eh? Your commitment even goes very high. The resources, you begin to realize that you've been having resources. Because I personally, I will never get into trying to sell off what I have. I also needed the stuff. I will never go the hard way of begging somebody maybe to buy from me so that I can make a profit. Because I did all that simply because my reason and dream is very big. You know, when the dream is very big, you do so many things. Eh? Personally, I have had when I look at my dream, I want to create thousands of jobs, you know. I want to create at least 1,000 jobs in the next 10 to 12 years from now, you know. And I have no option apart from doing everything possible. I want to increase my personal income, you know. Why? I have many things to do. I want to pay people's school fees. The people don't have money to study. The people would have done so many things. They need help. You know, when you look at all that, I also need to have even a large income. So I cannot stupidly refuse to forego what I have today when that dream is sitting within me and then I say I'm serious. So work on the reason. When the reason is very strong enough, probably all this stuff will become very easy for you.
Very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to the close of the show. And today with me has been Mr. Mugumiapo, a business writer. And we have been trying to elucidate and, you know, and discuss on bootstrapping your business. And this is all about how to start business with limited resources, and it's been such a wonderful discussion. Remember that Business Daily comes to you every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 a.m. and I'm your host, Julius Nsuga. See you next time. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the rest of the shows. See you then.